Okay, we are going live, Everybody come on in, come on in. Come on in, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. While we are getting ready to go, please put where you're from in the chat. Let us know where you're coming to us from. If you live in one of the districts that our folks are hoping to represent, or if you are just here because you love democracy, which is a great reason to be here. And we will start getting started as everybody comes up to speed. Thank you guys for being here. All right, guys. Hey, Gritty Kitties. Welcome to Catty Chats Live, the soon-to-be weekly live stream pod and vodcast from Cat Ladies for America, where we talk to people making things suck less in new and interesting ways. I'm Blair Postman. I'm your host. I'm also the founder of Cat Ladies for America. So tell us where you're coming from. If you haven't already, in the chat, we love to see it. And feel free to comment along. You can post a question in a chat as we're going, and if we catch it and we have the time, we can ask it of our participants. Today we're going to be talking to two women looking and fighting to flip North Carolina districts, one in the U.S. Congress, one in the state Senate, from red to blue, even with some of the most gerrymandered election maps of any state in the country. Melissa Zahner is running for state senate in North Carolina District 1 in the northeastern part of the state, including the Outer Banks, where I just was a week ago. And Ashley Bell is running for U.S. Congress from North Carolina District 10. And then after we talk to Melissa and Ashley, we're going to talk to Tara from Can't Win Victory Fund, and she's going to give us some actions that we all can take to help team democracy at every level of government in the midterms. Before we invite everybody up, I just want to tell you a little bit about what's going on with us. Our new season is going to launch on September 13th, which is also our second Cat Lady Palooza event. That is our extravaganza of cat ladies, cat daddies, cat folks, and our uncatted allies who vibe with us, scratching back against democracy. And as fate would have it, oh my goodness, the GOP is having some monstrosity called Trumpapalooza about 3 days before ours. And we have to, boy, we better have a better showing than they have for Trumpapalooza. Now, we have our claws out for the midterms with an amazing lineup of voting right experts and First Amendment fighters this time around, including Katie Fang, V. Sapar of Under the Desk News, Amanda McGonigal of Cats on a Couch, Latasha Brown of Black Voters Matter, and this is an announcement. We haven't announced this yet. We're going to announce it tomorrow on social media and stuff. A big announcement now. Karen Attiah, who is once again with the Washington Post. You may have seen her story. She was fired after daring to have an opinion that maybe Charlie Kirk wasn't a perfect human being, and she was an opinion writer for many years with the Washington Post. They fired her based on something she wrote on Blue Sky, and after arbitration and almost a year of fighting, she is now back on the staff and rehired at the Washington Post. So it's absolutely free to attend. Just go to catladypalooza.com to register for free so you can get that link in advance. Also, if you want to, there's other fun stuff that happens with Cat Lady Palooza. We have, I can't imagine anyone here would be interested in this. We have a photo contest for your cats to enter. It is absolutely free to enter. You can win really cool merch and tote bags, and we also will show off your cat if they're one of the winners or finalists across our social media and give them the love and attention they absolutely deserve. Also, you can pick up some really cool merch. I actually am wearing a t-shirt right now, Cat Lady Palooza. If I stand up, I realize that you cannot hear me because I'm not near my microphone. But we have a really cool design that was donated to us by Kilkenny Cat Art. If you've ever seen her stuff online, there's a version of it there in that picture behind me, if you can see that. And she's absolutely amazing. And it was so kind of her. She's really talented. She's got her own online stores. And if you like the looks of that, you're going to love everything that she does. So go ahead and go to catladypalooza.com, and anything else you want, whether to join our sway group, with maybe I'll talk to Tara about a little bit later, or if you want to join our Substack, which is really grown. We've got 30,000 followers there, and we do opinion pieces, interviews, also our chapter captains report from what's going on in the ground in their states and cities across the country. All of our content is free. We never want anyone to be excluded from any of our events, our content, our information, because they're not in a position to give. But we do have real life bills and tools that we use to organize, even though everyone who works on this is volunteer. So if you have $5 that you can donate through Substack or through our online portal, then we would love that, but it's never necessary, but always welcome. All right, guys, and I think that's a good enough warm up. It looks like we got people here from Hickory, Huntington Beach, California, Lincoln County in North Carolina 10. All right, well, let's start bringing our folks up. Here is Melissa, and here's Ashley.
Hi.
Hello, Ashley and Melissa. How are you guys doing? Either of you can go. Can you hear me?
I can't hear.
Okay, hold on a second. Can you guys can't hear me, huh? I told you that. I'm going to remove you from the stage and put you back up. Let's see what that does. Hey, if you guys can hear me in the chat, post in the chat if you can hear me. That would be great. That would be really helpful. Oh, you can hear. Oh, they can hear everyone. This is, you know what? This happened once. Okay, let's try. Melissa, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, Ashley, can you hear me? And there are ways that if you touch the wrong button in this software, you can accidentally turn yourself off. Thank you for everyone telling me that they can hear me. And so at least we know that's happening. Well, we'll start with you, Melissa, and then Ashley, you give us a heads up if you can hear us. Melissa, why are you running? And tell us, let's start here. Melissa, tell us first a little bit about State Senate District 1 in North Carolina. Where is it? What's it like?
So Senate District 1 is the largest by county. It's 10 counties. There she is. And I live down there on that tiny little sandbar in the Outer Banks. But as you can see, it stretches all the way over and up to the Virginia border. And it's 10 counties that have been stitched together on purpose. And yeah, there's so many spaces that have the same problems, right? Like we all need better healthcare, we all need better schools. But, you know, if you go to Hatteras Island, they're dealing with houses falling into the ocean. And then you go to Currituck County or Perquimans County, and it's farmers who are having trouble keeping their land. So it's very, it's sprawling, it's all different, but it's beautiful. And I've had a lot of fun driving around and meeting with people.
Well, and here's somebody professing their love for the Outer Banks. And so it is a place that many, many people love and have been to on vacation, but it can be really different to live there full year than it is. I lived for many years in Wilmington, North Carolina, which is not quite so isolated as parts of the Outer Banks.
I used to live in Wilmington. It's very different.
Like there's a big university in Wilmington and retirees, and you can get there without going over a bridge. But the what is something that people who may vacation in the Outer Banks not realize is such an issue, and it might be a national issue that we all hear about and talk about now, but that is, there's a special reason why it's important or vital where you are.
Well, I think, one thing about this area is that there's not a lot of land. And the land that we have is, we're surrounded by water on both sides in most places, and in some places all sides. And so when we're talking about expansion, when we're talking about affordable housing, when we're talking about job opportunities, those kinds of things, it's different. Most people here work in the service industry or they work on the water. And in the past few years, the legislature has really gone after those people. And so it's really been interesting. But I think I've been coming here my entire life before we moved here. This was the only place my dad ever wanted to be. And so when we would come, you come and you just think it's this magical place. And moving here, raising a family here, living here full time, it's very different. And I think one of the things that makes it so special is that we do have a different way of life here. We just do. because we are responding solely to weather all the time. And so, yeah, you just don't think about things like my kids don't go to school sometimes if it's too windy.
Right.
Just wind.
It's a wind day instead of a snow day. And while Ashley gets some of her
I
tech
can't
put
hear
together,
you.
really,
Sorry.
that's so interesting. I'm going to remove you again and bring you back. Hold on a second. This is such an interesting live stream. All right, let's try it now. Can you hear me now?
I still can't hear you.
I wonder why that is. Ashley Bell, add to the stage. Let's see if Ashley can. Ashley, can you hear me?
No. Yep, I can hear you now.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to remove Melissa you for a second, and then we will.
Now Melissa can't hear you.
Now Melissa can't hear me. I don't know
That's
what
okay.
that means, but it means each of you is getting a little like solo stage time.
It's
But
fine.
Ashley, tell us a little bit about your district and what is it that is so special about it? What do you love about living in NC10?
Yeah, I mean, I went to school here. I'm a PA. I went to PA school at Wake Forest School of Medicine, and I've been here pretty much ever since then. I just kind of fell in love with the weather. We actually have 4 seasons, and the people, and not that map because that's very gerrymandered.
I was
and
going to
weird,
say, this
but
is, I was trying to give people, you can see the inset. They have a fancier map for the congressional district that I could find than with the state Senate district. And so we can see here, this does not look like an inherently natural map. This is a very North Carolina congressional district kind of map. And so I'm wondering, what is it? What are the differences between the different portions of a district like this?
Yeah, I mean, Forsyth County, which is kind of the top right part that you see there, is a pretty Democratic area. That is mostly blue. And then we have Yadkin, Iredell, Catawba, and Lincoln counties. And there's some blue spots kind of out in the rest of that, but a lot of it is really rural and red. But the good thing is there's a lot of people moving into the area, which is kind of trending it more blue.
And so what is it that inspired you to run for Congress? That's pretty kind of a big decision.
Yeah, so whenever Roe v. Wade came down a few years ago, I was working, I do telemedicine, and I was working for a women's health company. And just, I can still remember where I was because we started getting inundated with requests for emergency contraception as soon as the news came across. And I kind of decided at that point that I wanted to do more than just write prescriptions. And so it kind of just snowballed from there. I got really sick of having insurance companies tell me what I could and could not do for my patients. And so that's one of the biggest reasons that I'm running.
And so, just so you know, I'm going to try right now to bring Melissa back. If you wind up not being able to hear me, I will bring you back. This is
Okay.
very exciting. Okay, so Melissa, can you hear me? No, she can't hear me. Ashley, can you still hear me?
I
Okay,
can.
hang on one second. Guys, you know what's exciting about the world that we live in? Here we go. I am going to talk to you as if I'm a normal, calm person. But really, I'm just trying to figure out here in the background why it is that one person can hear us and then not the other. And now I just tried to change a setting. I'm going to bring Melissa back. Let's see. Melissa, can you hear me yet? No. Melissa, if you want to try looking at your settings, I will come back to you in just a little bit. And one way or another, we're gonna get you on stage. One way or another, we're gonna be talking to you some more, Melissa. And so, Ashley, if you can tell
I
us
can't hear you now, Blair.
First of all, I want you to know that my behind the scenes person had the nerve to go on vacation, which I thought was very rude. I'm going to take you off, Ashley. Hold on a second. Here we go. All right. So I'm the only one. If anybody wants to, they can tell me whether or not Hush Puppy Mix can still hear me. So I think everyone can hear me. I feel pretty good about that. Let's just change this. Let's not do this thing. Let's try things over here. Let's try this one. Let's see how this goes. All right. I don't think we have any. I'm going to check my settings of audio and everyone should be doing just fine here on the audio from what I'm seeing. I am looking at all of the settings that I have ever touched, and let's try this again. You know what, just for kicks, I'm going to bring up Tara, if Tara's available, just to see if we bring up somebody new. I'm going to see if she can be heard and can hear me. All right, Tara. Hi. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Mm-hmm. That's very exciting. First of all, you win the day. I am now going to, everyone, this is Tara from Can't Win Victory Fund, who had nice cat ears. I love them very much. Now, Tara, I'm going to remove you. This is just a test, and it's very exciting for all the people watching. And now I'm going to try to bring, Melissa back on. Melissa, you're going. Okay. She hasn't heard a thing Ashley has said. Okay. How about now, Melissa? Melissa, nothing.
I still can't hear you.
Nothing, huh? Okay. That's a shame. And now I'm going to try Ashley again. I don't understand why they would be able to hear me. And here we go. Hi, guys. Can you hear me? Okay. Well, there we go. It's a real shame because I am going to add Melissa to the stage because she does have a cat on her. And so, if nothing else, I feel like everyone in our audience would at least appreciate seeing Melissa with her cat walking on her back. So, I will tell her later that this was very enjoyable, that part of it for us. Ashley, can you still hear me?
I can.
Okay, This is going great so far. Yeah. Ashley, if you can tell us some of the things from a national perspective that people might be hearing about, and how I know we talked about the contraception, emergency contraception by mail. What about other issues that we're hearing a lot about around, how people are getting hit hard on prices, or in the area of healthcare, in addition to the reproductive care, which is such a huge issue?
Yeah, I mean, everybody is having issues everybody has had issues with healthcare for a while. I mean, insurance is just not affordable, especially since they took away the ACA subsidies. And if you don't have insurance, it's just completely unaffordable to even see a doctor when you get sick. So my biggest thing that I'm running for Congress for is to go to DC and try to fix this healthcare system that is so broken, not only for patients, but also for providers. Because I'm a healthcare provider, I also see it from that side. And healthcare providers don't like working in the system either. So, right. So we just want to get a system that actually works for everybody, and that everybody can, get care whenever they need it. And I think that system is Medicare for all.
Okay, you do. So you support Medicare for all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. And have you noticed any issues in your district with either hospitals under threat of having to shut down or care providers leaving? Have you had that situation?
Yeah, we've had a couple of hospitals. One has already shut down. It shut down a year or two ago, and then we have another one that's kind of in jeopardy. Mm-hmm. And the more that they cut Medicaid, because these hospitals depend on Medicaid revenue to stay open, the more they cut Medicaid, the more in jeopardy hospitals get. And just in general, healthcare providers are fleeing the profession in droves because it's so difficult to work in healthcare nowadays, not only just because it is a difficult profession, but also because we have a bunch of government idiots trying to meddle in our business. So.
I've heard a little bit something about that. We're going to do something, Ashley, called the telephone game, and I'm going to put Melissa on the stage. And you're going to repeat, when I ask you a question, when we're done, you're going to repeat it, and then Melissa's going to answer, even though she can't hear me for reasons that we will never know. So I'm going to put Melissa on the stage. Ashley, will you tell Melissa that you will be relaying questions to her, since she said she could hear you a bit?
Okay, Melissa, I'm going to be relaying questions to you.
Awesome. I love this.
Weirdly, this might work. Okay, so we'll start with Ashley, and you can maybe repeat the question just a little bit. What are some of the obstacles that you're finding running for in your case, Congress in your district, as either because you're a Democrat or for any reason at all?
So, what are some of the obstacles that I'm finding running in my district? A huge obstacle is fundraising. We have a lot of trouble raising funds, and for a congressional race, you got to raise a lot of funds. My opponent has $1 million in the bank, and we have nowhere near that, even though we work very hard to try to get money to come in the door. That's probably our biggest challenge at this point. But also, we just really are struggling with kind of how do we reach everybody in a district like ours and make them realize how difficult it is to get out and vote. And that is really the most important thing in our entire race. If we get people out to vote, we're going to win. But how do we do that?
So how do have you had, well, let's go first. If you could say, Melissa, will you answer what her challenges might be running for state senate? The biggest
Melissa,
challenges she's finding.
Yes.
What challenges do you have running for state senate?
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, I think the very first one is that the map is rigged for me to lose. That's number one. It was drawn that way. And, I think my opponent being voted to, hopefully be appointed to the Senate, not hopefully for me, but they're appointing him. Our senator retired. And so they just voted yesterday about who will take his place. And they, of course, chose my opponent. So now I'm running against an incumbent. So that's different. But also just, like Ashley said, getting to reach people, because I mean, it's 10 counties, and that is a lot of driving. It's a lot of going. It's a lot of going into places that are super rural and maybe don't, people are working hard. They don't really have time to come to my party, and I get it. And so, I think, just trying to find ways to reach people and get out into the community and meet new people. Because she's right. It's going to be a numbers game this year.
And just so everyone knows, I have put both Ashley's and Melissa's websites in the chat so that you can go there, you can volunteer, you can sign up for their newsletter, you could drop them $20 maybe. That would help very much. Ashley, what is something that you wish national Democratic Party or people who talk about these issues on the big level knew about your district that's maybe different than, what you might hear in the mainstream media a lot?
Well, I think that, nationally, I think my main issue being healthcare, it is a national issue, and it's not something that, just one area over another cares about. It really is a national issue, and we need healthcare providers to actually run healthcare in Congress, because right now what we have are a bunch of people who know nothing about healthcare and have never treated a patient, and they're trying to do things to our healthcare system that just don't work. And the few healthcare providers that we do have in Congress are on the other side, and they are playing games with vaccines for completely unknown reasons. So
what is something, and just one example, it doesn't have to be the most important, but what might be an example of something that current folks in the Congress currently, they try to do with healthcare that isn't really effective on the ground in real life?
I would say, the vaccine thing is probably the biggest one, honestly. What we have now is RFK and his cronies are kind of trying to split vaccines and split them into like that. For instance, the MMR vaccine, it comes in it's got 3 diseases that you protect against with that vaccine. The individual diseases, the vaccines for those don't exist individually in this country. And so what they're wanting to do is split them out so that they go individually. Well, we can't do that. It doesn't exist. I don't really know if that's like intentional. It probably is, or
right, like intentionally gumming up the works or not. It's and at a time when we have, I think you can correct me if I'm wrong here, the highest measles rate in 35 years, something like that. Yeah, thank you. If you wouldn't mind saying, hey, Melissa, what's something that is a big, that you wish the big people at the, who are in Congress right now, or even in your own party, understood doesn't really work in your district that they might think works, nationwide for an issue? It does not have to be healthcare.
So, Melissa, what
Yes.
are some issues that nationwide, like the National Democrats might not know? They think it works nationally, but it doesn't work in your district.
Oh gosh. I think a lot of things. It's funny it's not funny actually, but when I go around and I talk to people, people say to me all the time, oh, nobody cares about us in Eastern North Carolina. Nobody cares about us. They don't care about us. Raleigh doesn't care about us. I hear that all the time. That a woman told me at the very beginning of my campaign, and she said, Raleigh's done a whole lot more to us than they've ever done for us. And I was like, oh gosh, but they're right. I mean, we are kind of the forgotten, we're like this little forgotten pocket, which is unfortunate. And I think a lot of what works, in Wake County, and a lot of what works in MEC and those places. And I think I see it when we do polling, we talk in polling, and they'll be talking about who they talk to and the topics that they cover. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's not really gonna, we care about very different things out here. And I think there's a disconnect in a lot of ways. I mean, the legislature tried to get rid of shrimping here. And that would have absolutely crumbled not only the shrimping industry. I mean, you got to think about fish houses and restaurants and the delivery trucks and all of it, and just the heritage of that and how long it's been going on here. So yeah, there are things here that are very specific, houses falling into the ocean, septic systems on the front of the beach. Not everybody's dealing with that. Coastal communities are, but not everyone. We have an HBCU in Elizabeth City, and they're attacking polling places there in Pasquotank County and those kinds of things. And that happens everywhere. But, when you're talking about diluting a student vote, and specifically the Black student vote, doesn't happen everywhere. It's specialized. And they do it on purpose. And we know that. But I just think Eastern North Carolina needs quite frankly, a loudmouth I really do feel like I think they need somebody in there that's just loud and proud about it. Not only when it's time to vote, but always. So, yeah.
Thank her for me, Ashley. And then
Thank you, Melissa.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
I have a question from the comments, follow up for you, Ashley, and then I'll ask one myself of Melissa, something she mentioned. Ashley, the question is and I'll put it up here, would you support a single payer system if not Medicare for all? That was the question.
Yes, I would support that. I think the advantage of Medicare for all is that Medicare already exists, and to make it work for everybody, we just need to drop the age gradually. That's one way to do it. There's lots of ways to do it. There obviously would have to be some tweaks made to the Medicare system to make it work for all ages, but I would support a single payer system if that's what regardless of what it is. I would support a single payer system.
Looking for an improvement.
Mm-hmm.
Looking for a big either would be a big improvement. And then if you could ask Ashley, if you could ask Melissa, for me, following up on all the issues that have to do with being at the coast. What's going on with insurance rates, and what can folks do there to continue to make it livable, not just literally on the Outer Banks in her district for non-millionaires and billionaires?
So, Melissa, what's going on with insurance rates out in the Outer Banks, and is it going to be livable for people other than billionaires and millionaires?
I'll tell you. In all seriousness, I think one of the things that is interesting about this place too is that thank you, Miriam, that we have a housing situation, but we have a ton of houses. We just have empty houses that sit on the ocean front. And, those kinds of things, it's hard. It's hard to raise a family here. And Most people I know work multiple jobs, and we work, the summer. Who has a summer, honestly? And so, I don't know. I just think that there's a lot to be said for housing and those kinds of things in this specialized area. We can't just build a bunch of houses. We can't just do the same things. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling. I'm sorry. But I feel like I've been so out of the conversation because I can only hear Ashley say
You're doing great.
You're
doing great. I don't know why I'm whispering.
You're
Everyone
doing
else can hear
great.
me. You're doing great. You're doing great. Gold stars.
Gold stars, she said.
Thank you.
I will not forget
I don't even
this
know if I really
interview.
answered that question fully, but
I will say, and Ashley, you can repeat this in short. I will say that my takeaway is that people around the country are saying, build ourselves to get into affordable housing, and that may work some places, but on the coast of North Carolina, that doesn't work.
Yeah, so Melissa, she said that in general, around the country, people keep saying build, build, build. And that may work in a lot of places, but it's not going to work on the coast of North Carolina.
Well, it's not. And it's also not going to, Currituck County, which is in my district, is the fastest growing county in North Carolina. And they have plans to build, 2,500 houses in the next however many years. But where are those infrastructure plans to support all of that? And where are those, billionaire donors and developers paying their fair share to make sure that those things are put into the community? Because you're seeing schools that are, becoming overcrowded, and then you start talking about septic systems and water supplies and electricity and all those things. And like we were talking about the insurance thing, the other thing I wanted to say about that is the referendum that is on our ballot regarding insurance and kind of capping it, and how dangerous that would be for somewhere in like coastal North Carolina, places that flood. Because capping it at 3.5% would mean that if something were to happen, we would not be able to, as a locality, Dare County itself would not be able to raise that tax to help recoup and help make sure that we're getting our community back to where it needs to be. And I think a lot of people, that's the part that we're missing about that specific insurance.
Okay.
Tax. Sorry.
No, great. And then Ashley, I'll ask you this, and then for Melissa, if you would mind passing it along when you're done. I've asked you questions, but what do you wish people would ask you about? What have we not talked about that's really important to you and your campaign as you fight for this congressional seat?
I kind of wish people would ask, what are you going to do about the corruption in government? Because there's a whole lot of corruption in government, right? So, I have experience taking down corruption.
Tell me about that.
Yeah. So I actually took down $1 billion ed tech company a few years ago. No big deal. They were basically fraudulently doing our accreditation application, and they were charging a whole bunch of money, and the university wouldn't do anything about it. And so after I figured out what was going on and the university wouldn't listen to me, I basically went and found a bunch of people at other universities that were going through the same thing with the same company, and we ended up going to the Wall Street Journal. And after being worth about $5 billion at that point, they had to file bankruptcy about 6 months later, and now they're worth $700,000. So, when it comes to corruption, I don't really play with that. And so I'm really looking forward to being I'm really looking forward to being able to get into Congress and do something about all the craziness that's going on that our current Congress just doesn't seem to be putting any importance on.
Thank you. And then I think it's in the chat. but I'm going to, if you could tell Melissa a similar
Yeah.
question, what do you wish people were asking you about? What is something that we haven't talked about here tonight that, and it might be more than one thing, that you think is important for people to know?
Yeah, Melissa, what is something that you wish people would ask about, or that you think is something to that you think something is important that you want people to know?
Oh man. I don't know. I mean, I think, being in the South and being a woman, people ask me all kinds of crazy questions all the time. And I'm always surprised about what people are interested in. And, a lot of people ask me why I ran and those kinds of things. And all of that it happened so fast. I got a call from Kate Barr from the Can't Win Victory Fund. And she said, "Hey, girl, nobody's going to do this." And I said, "Huh, neither am I." And so then she called in the big guns. And I got a call from Supreme Court Justice Anita Earls, who said, "Hi, we need someone to do this." And I said, "Yes, ma'am, whatever you say." But one of the reasons I did it is because unopposed races it's not, it drives me crazy. And especially, the thought of, especially now that I'm against who I'm against, the thought of him walking onto a Senate seat, absolutely not. And so, I think I like when people ask me about why I ran, because I like telling people, we don't all have to go the same path, right? We don't all have to become a town council person and then move up. And I think a lot of people do that, and it's wonderful. But there also have to be those of us who are just disruptors to it all and want to make sure that the people who have been getting away with the things forever, there you go, that we're making them run and that we're making them spend money. And I've been doing just that. And so, yeah, I agree with Ashley. I think there's a lot of the good old boy system is alive and well in North Carolina. Let's just say that. And I think it's time for some new representation.
That is wonderful. Thank you guys so much. You both get, and I know Melissa will never hear this, but you both get amazing gold stars for teamwork, for creative problem solving, and also for, excuse me, it's my podcast. I get to say whatever I want. Fucking bravery. For going out there, putting yourselves on the line. It's really hard. You have to go out there and make all this, raise all this money and put your ideas and your thoughts out there on the line. And this is and making people run in every district. And we may win this. You may each win your elections this year and flip these districts. Or it may also be the start of when you flip it the next time. But we never flip it where we don't run. And I think that is so important and wonderful. Just a reminder to everyone, I've put both of their websites in the chat, and it will be out on our Substack, all the information about this interview of epic proportions, epic technical proportions, and all of the ways you can get in touch with them are going to be on our Substack put out on our Substack in a couple of days as well. So I am going to say goodbye to both of you now. Goodbye, and I'm going to bring Tara
She's
up.
saying goodbye, Melissa.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Also, Ashley has 2 dogs. They just don't jump on desks so much. All right.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Bye, guys. Bye. All right. Boy, never a dull moment. Will we ever figure out why that happened? Probably not. But let's go talk to one of my favorite people who knows a lot about making things happen. Tara from Can't Win Victory Fund, who I'm hoping can hear me. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Wow, this is going to be so much easier.
Yay! And you were part of the team in the speaker chat trying to relay everything to Melissa. Can I tell you something? I now love both of them because they completely stayed calm under pressure. And also, nobody freaked out and everyone rolled with it. And that's just, to me, that's a good sign. That is a good sign.
Honestly, that's what women do. Especially women in this space. We are just so used to it.
That is what we do. Tara Arbiter is one of my favorite people that I've met in this really weird world that I wasn't in a couple of years ago about, politics and influencing on new and social media and finding new ways to get out messages that are important and fighting for democracy with she and her friends at Can't Win Victory Fund. And I call on them a lot, an obnoxious amount, actually, pretty obnoxious amount, because they're so good at coming up with ways that all of us can help fight and how we can get involved and things that we can do that, there's different levels of difficulty and everybody can do something. And they're really great at figuring out things that people can do, even if they don't have a lot of time or if they're from home or if they, want to run for office. That would be, I'm going to call that the highest difficulty of getting involved. Tara, and you guys just had a big event along these lines. You're also part of Y'all Vote, which is really involved in getting sort of micro influencers in the South to engage with folks and make sure they're getting out messages and just generally supporting down ballot races. So maybe that's a place to start. What should people be looking at? Not their Senate, the U.S. Senate candidate, maybe, not the presidential race in 2 years. What down ballot races should they be looking at where they live, and how can they find and help good candidates?
So for me and my team, we believe that gerrymandering and rigged maps are the root of...
let's just put that map up again for a second.
Exactly.
And that's not the worst one.
Exactly. And that is why we can't have nice things.
Right.
And so when we fix that, we can have all the nice things that we want because we'll have fair maps and it will be a fair vote. So we focus on state ledge, which is why we went and recruited the lovely Melissa Zahner for Senate District 1 here in North Carolina. We recruited over 60 candidates this last cycle.
Levon, who was on a month or 6 weeks ago with us. Yeah.
And, Levon messed around and might win. So...
what an embarrassment to the Can't Win name. Suddenly, you guys getting candidates out there. You promise them they're going to lose, which is the only way I would ever run for anything, because then I could just say whatever I wanted.
Yes.
But, and believe me, I would lose. But now you got people out there who are really, really making a big fight of it. Yeah. Levon and others.
Absolutely. So we focus on state ledge. We focus on anyone who has the power to fix the maps. So here in North Carolina, that is the state legislature and our Supreme Court. So we are essentially using all of these can't win districts within North Carolina to be surrogates for Justice Anita Earls, who we need to get reelected this cycle. She is like the next kind of cog in the puzzle to get us to the fair maps that North Carolina deserves. And in other states, there's different processes. Sometimes we're back there supporting attorney generals because they have more of a role than they do here in North Carolina, or the governors. So here in North Carolina, thanks to the lovely Roy Cooper, our governor cannot veto the maps. Roy Cooper was the deciding vote in that when he was in the state legislature, and it has now come back to bite us. So thanks, Roy. Don't want him to win. Still a big supporter, but
And also, we all did just see Cat.
Yes,
and somebody here just wants to know a little love for Coach Levon, who did come on with his daughter's ears on when he did come up. So just a little shout out. The something that I think is people may not understand this ripple effect, or they can understand it, but it just never occurs to them. They have their own lives and their own careers, and they're trying to make good decisions, but if we could use the example from, is it 3 years ago now, 4 years ago now, 2 years ago now, I don't know, when Kate Barr ran for Congress and how that seemed to impact the Supreme Court race in North Carolina that was won by the very slimmest of margins.
Yeah, so Kate, my co-founder at Can't Win Victory Fund, we have Can't Win Victory Fund, we have Y'all Vote, we have Fair Map Fight Club, we have all the things, right? But it all started by Kate deciding that she was going to run for this newly gerrymandered seat. And it was a state Senate seat. And she was, real mad that there was an awesome woman who was in that seat that the state legislature decided was just too loud and too female. And they gerrymandered her right on out. And so Kate signed up, announced the day that she was going to lose, because that is what the maps tell us. We can't we can't fake math, unfortunately. And that kind of started the whole thing. And so her running essentially changed the makeup of our district a little bit of who actually showed up to vote in that cycle. So Iredell County, which was the bulk of her district, shifted blue when the rest of the state shifted red. We were like the only one that shifted blue that wasn't impacted by Hurricane Helene. And so it just kind of showed that in statewide races, having people run in all these seats that have been abandoned because they're unwinnable actually matters, because it turns out voters. And so Allison Riggs won that state Supreme Court race by 734 votes. And she was the first cog in getting us fair maps. And the second one is reelecting Anita Earls this cycle. And then in the next cycle, we have the opportunity to flip 3 seats, and then we can have fair maps.
And so when we're looking even outside of North Carolina, not excluding North Carolina, what are some ways with all the different groups that you're in, some super basic things that everyone should do? I mean, in addition to checking your own registration and where you need to vote, that's a big one for me, especially in a state like North Carolina, but so many states have changed their maps and have changed their laws. What are some of the things people can do to make sure they can vote, and then maybe help do something beyond that?
Yeah, so obviously check your voter registration, especially if you're in one of these southern states, because they like to be cray cray down here. And the other part is, I know you mentioned Y'all Vote earlier. So Y'all Vote is a coalition of content creators who have come together and that live in southern states, and they're all about trying to flip seats in their state legislature. And when we say Y'all Vote, you don't have to be a content creator, right? So this is everyone from Amanda's Mild Takes with millions of followers to me, who has like 50, right? So all of us are still like influencers in our own community. And that's honestly the smaller, the closer you get to the person, like the more influence you have. So like the more influence I'm going to have on my neighbors, and maybe that's the only people who are actually watching my Instagram or whatever, but I've now informed them about voter registration, about early voting, about the candidates and things like that. And that is what matters. And so I would encourage people of any size accounts, whether you're on any platform, to sign up for Y'all Vote.
And I think it's really important to reinforce what you said there, Tara. Influencer is not necessarily somebody with more than 100 followers. And it's not necessarily somebody who's trying to make this be that.
You don't have to be political. Like, you do not have to come out and be a political content creator. You can be making sourdough bread and making a video about it and being like, gosh, can you believe how much flour is these days? And talk about the cost of living increases and things like that. So there's ways that you can do it without having to be an outright, annoying political person.
Well, and I think a lot of people appreciate that. And I think, to your point, I'm not sure everyone realizes this, but like, if you have 100,000 followers, you might get in front of a lot of people, but that's not necessarily going to help you, in your state, in your county, in your city. And a lot of people have really come to believe that it's much more important to have a network of people who are tight with the 100 people, 50 people who follow them.
I mean, the science tells us that they are more influential.
Yeah, you guys do science shit and stuff. There's I don't know all of it. There's algorithms. There's the cosine, and they do stuff like that. I Can't Win Victory Fund, and they study this shit, and it's really important. Like, for me to talk to my friend from high school or my neighbor who lives next door versus people across the country who I've never met and will never. They're going to listen to you. You have more. The real influence is over people who actually know you.
Yeah, for sure. So I would say, join Y'all Vote if you have any if you're on any of the platforms, right? So just join. We're also just like a really fun group of people who get.
I think our North Carolina, I think our Raleigh Durham chapter is in there. Yeah.
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 But we're like any southern state. So do that at y'allvote.org. We have, as of yesterday, raised $250,000 for state legislative races in the South. And that is just since April and the Calais decision. So, I mean, that is enough money to actually move some of these races, because a dollar for a state ledge race goes 3 to 4 to 5, 6 times further, probably even more, than like a dollar that's going to a Roy Cooper or Talrico.
And when you're talking about that, it just reminds me, one of the ways you can help is by giving some money, not $1 million. Like when I said $20, like that's, maybe 20, hey, maybe make it 25, make it 10. But, and not everybody can give, and there's ways to volunteer, and everyone understands that. But I live in Baltimore. I work, my day job's in DC. You can't like walk out of the house without somehow $20 getting spent on something that you just, it's like I got a water. I don't even remember what else happened. So any little amount like that, and you guys have a platform. Is it on Oath Vote? That is where people can pick. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so if you go to y'allvote.org, there's a link right there at the beginning that takes you to our Oath slate. So we've worked in partnership with Oath to identify the races that are close enough to flip in some of these state houses to make the biggest impact and difference with your dollars. So it's like, again, it's like a science piece. And so you can feel good that your money is going to a place that is actually going to make a big difference, because like I said, a dollar just goes so much further in these state races. And if you don't have money to give, that's fine. Look up your local, who's running for your local state and Senate races, or your county council or your school board or whatever. And like, if you have a skill, a talent, anything like that, these races do not have like campaign managers and full on infrastructure and things like that. They don't have, if you can like play in Canva.
I was going to say, if you can make a social media, like not even a video, but like a post in Canva or something else free. Oh my God. Well, first of all, also send me an email, but like, because I am not naturally talented at this, but but any of that kind of thing, if you can write copy, if you can write like a press release, if you know anything about updating, an out of the box website or anything like that, I'm sure that would be an enormous help.
And like, for us indoor cats, which I am an indoor cat. So here,
for those who are not aware, we often refer to things that, and my cat lady friend Corey, who is usually doing these with me, she always refers to herself as an indoor cat. Apparently I am an alley cat. But the indoor cat stuff is like, you may not love, like I am, boy, am I forcing Tara to be on screen right now. But you may not want to go door to door. You may not even feel that comfortable on the phone, but what can our indoor cats do?
When you look up, and you'll see like they probably have, your local person is probably having like canvassing and things like that on Saturdays or Sundays or evenings. Like if that isn't comfortable for you to go and knock on a door, still reach out to that campaign and say, you know what, I am not comfortable knocking on a door, but I would go and lit drop. It is just as important, and it goes so much quicker. You don't actually have to talk to anybody. You just, on all
put
the
the flyer in the door or whatever.
It's actually still more impactful than getting a piece of direct mail, which is also very expensive.
Yes.
So if you can do something like that, if you can write postcards, you can just honestly just amplify their social media.
Liking, sharing, and making a comment on the post of 5 or more real words emojis don't count. That is a huge deal. Yeah.
It really just gets it in front of neighbors. Things like things that people don't think about. Posting something on Nextdoor. If there's a candidate that's having an event, post it on Nextdoor, invite your neighbors to come, or offer to host a meet and greet at your house or the local park or whatever for a candidate, and invite your neighbors. But yeah, I feel like things like Nextdoor people just don't even think about, but a lot of people are on there.
And you can also just talk to people who live near you, but
you can.
But sometimes it's hard to. I mean, I live in a row house next to a lot of people, and I do see them a lot, but by the time I get home from work at night and whatever, I may not see them, unless it's on a Saturday. And if I don't see them that Saturday, I probably won't see them till the next Saturday. So that it can be hard.
And like for anybody who happens to be on here or watching this later, if you are in a safe blue place, the South needs you. Like that is where your energy, your money, your time should be spent, because the population shifts are such that in 2030, the Electoral College will change so much that unless we can flip some of these southern states, there is absolutely no path to the presidency. And so we need you. Like, we need your focus on the South.
And something I've said for folks, especially in these midterms, like I'm in Maryland. We have a governor who's going to run, who's doing just fine. Yeah. He's good. In Maryland is gerrymandered in a different way. Mm-hmm. And so our primaries are in many ways are the general election, not for everything, but for a lot of things. And we don't have either senator running this year. And we, of course, all the Congress people are up for re-election, but it's not super competitive really in any district. And so one of the things that I'm trying to do, I don't have $1 million, despite our excellent tech setup. You might think that I do, but one of the things that I'm going to do, and I lived in North Carolina, so that's where I'm going to give some money. I'm going to give some money. I'm going to go to Oath Vote and look at where are some other districts, like who could win, but for whatever reason, they haven't gotten as much love, from other people. Who can I give $20 to who hasn't gotten $20 from as many people for who knows how many reasons? But my friends at Y'all Vote and Can't Win Victory Fund have told me that they have like a pretty decent, I mean, there's no guarantees, and it's not like these are guaranteed places, but they're in a fighting stance. They're in a place where they could win. Yeah. And then most importantly, Tara, can you tell us about your cats?
Absolutely. So I have 3 cats, Paddington, Hamilton, and Luna. I will post pictures on my page if you come to Tara Can't Win, so that everyone can see how cute they are. The newest one is Luna. She's the girl, and she has come in and she just like runs the joint now. She was one of my bottle babies last year, and it is the first time I've ever foster failed. And or foster one. I don't know. I just normally give them back. I foster a lot, and I have done really good job of always. You're
stronger than me. You're stronger than I. I usually just give money because I'm like we have 3 cats too, and our girl cat who is also in charge. Yeah. She is head bitch in charge, and I'm just a little intimidated by her, but mostly super respect her and want to be more like her.
Same,
but also a little intimidated.
A little, and I'm a little scared sometimes.
Like the appropriate amount, like an appropriate amount, like not we snuggle and stuff, but. I don't mess with her. Everyone, and please tell everybody else at Can't Win Victory Fund that we love you. I'm just going to give, Melissa can't hear it. Oh my goodness, Melissa has a cat again. Guys.
Oh my gosh, she does.
There we go. She can't hear me. She can't hear me still.
Can't hear her.
Goodbye.
Really cute.
But
the last thing I want to leave with is vote all the way down your ballot. The amount of drop off on these ballots is crazy, and it's these races at the bottom. The further down the ballot, the closer that affects your front door.
Yeah. When people are talking about school boards, when they're talking about, frankly, I was just at a planning committee meeting from the Baltimore City Council. They are going to decide what happens with the temporary AI data center ban that we have on in the city limits right now. Mm-hmm. That's in this state. They're going to decide that largely. Yep. And it is not, and you would think we're super blue and all this. I promise you, as I'm sure is the case in North Carolina on the opposite end, when everybody is one thing, that means a lot of those people aren't really, they all still disagree about stuff, but they wanted to get elected and they decided to, put this party or that party's name on their ticket. So those really urgent things that people are talking about, that is often like your city, your county, what have you. Yeah. So, And when we put this out on Substack, the wonderful Corey is going to kind of do a bullet point of all the suggestions you've given to us, Tara.
Awesome.
So thank you so much. So much thank you to Tara. I'm going to say goodbye. Bye, Tara. And thank you so much to Melissa. And thank you so much to, I cannot thank these guys enough. And Ashley for being so cool with our weird tech issue. We will endeavor to fix that before the next time. Next week we're going to be off from the live stream, and then remember on September 13th we're going to begin our new season with the kickoff of Cat Lady Palooza. Go to catladypalooza.com. You can also get there by going to catladiesforamerica.com. It is free. We have amazing people like Katie Fang, Cats on a Couch, Under the Desk News, Karen Attia, Latasha Brown for Black Voters Matter, and so many others who are going to focus on voting rights and First Amendment fights as we go into the midterms. So make sure you sign up for that. It is free, but so you can get the link in advance. And then after that, we're going to be having a live stream every Sunday night that also goes out as our Catty Chats pod with all kinds of interesting interviews with folks trying to make things suck less. Guys, my name is Blair Postman. Thanks everybody for your patience. Claws out. Wow.